गुड मॉर्निंग फ्रेंड्स। आज हम देखते हैं सेल्सफोर्स एडमिन और डेवलपर के कुछ क्वेश्चंस जो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट है इंटरव्यू के लिए। तो स्टार्ट करते हैं। फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, व्हाट इज अ ऐप इन सेल्सफोर्स? सेल्सफोर्स एंड app is a group of the tab that work as a unit to provide functionality. In the force.com there is a drop down the main menu at a top right corner of every page, which can be used to switch between app. User can customize existing app to merge the way they work or build new app by grouping standard and custom tabs. Next questions. What is the Visual Force? Visual Force is a tag based on the markup language to the develop and customize user the interface and Salesforce. Next questions. What is the cloud computing? Cloud computing is a new trend in IT development, deployment, delivery models of business, product, service that are the provided over the internet that are being used by the real-time users. Next questions. What is a PaaS? PaaS means platform as a service. Here is the PaaS, the cloud service provider, the provide hardware, OS, operating system, storage, network, server over the clouds. It is the way to like rent if there is a no service like platform and there will be no applications. Which application are the built and platforms? Next question. What is a SaaS? SaaS means software as a service. Though this service, all the software are the distributed over the clouds by using the SaaS. No need to the install any software. All software are the readily available over the internet. Next questions. What is a as? Full from as structures as a service. Here is as is the cloud service provider that will be provide the structures like the server, hosting server, and the storage server and stronger storage are the basic service provided by cloud service providers. Next question: how can you create the Visual Force page in Salesforce? We can create the Visual Force page in the two ways. From the setup, the menu get go to the setup, develop builds page like one of the new buttons to create a page and enter name and code of the Visual Force page. Next, from the Visual Force editor, enter the Apex and page name at the URL and create new the page in the Visual Force editors. Next questions. What is the object in the Salesforce? Custom object are the database tables that allow you to store data specific to your the organization in the salesforce.com. You can use to custom object to extend and Salesforce can the functionality or the build new the application functionality. When you have a create a custom object, you can create a custom tabs, custom related list, reports and standard for the users interact with of the custom object data. You can also access custom object and data through the post.com API. Next questions. What is a custom controllers? Custom controllers is an Apex class that implement customized logic to the Visual Force page. We can override or create new the functionality by using the custom controllers, syntax, Apex page controllers and accounts. Next questions. How many relationship including in Salesforce? What are they? We are having to the type of the relationship. They are lookup relationship, master data relationship. Next question, what is a lookup relationship? This type of the relationship like to the object together of tend to allow for the object. Parents is not the requirement fits, no impact on the security and the access. No impact on the deletions and can be the multiply lawyer the deep. Lookup fits is not the required. Next questions. What is a master data relationship? Master data relationship is the parents child the relationship in which master represent parents present and the details represent childs. If parents is deleted, then childs also the get deleted. Roll-up summary feeds can only be created on the master records, which will the calculated the sum average minimum of the child's records up to the to allow to object perfect fits and child records access of two parents and determine access to children, determine the parents and automatically deleted childs. Childs of the master details and relationship cannot be the parents of the others. Look up fits page layout and requirement. Next questions. Tell me about your company profiles. In Salesforce.com, company profiles the consent of the information that is a long language, local time zone, number of the license, storage, and available space, about fees or years, address, and the currencies. Next question. What are the login hours and login IP range? Login hours are set in organization to restrict the users who stick to the login before or after login hours. Set login hours in the organization to go to set up administration and manage users and profiles. Next, how can I create the many to many relationship? Lookup and the master details relationship are are one of the many relationship. We can create many to many relationship by the using and junction object. Junction object is a custom object with the two master details relationship. Next questions. What is a self relationship? Self relationship is a lookup relationship to the some object. Suppose let take of object merchant. Here we can create relationship in the between the account two account same object. This is called and self relationship. Next questions. Custom object contain some records. Now my requirement it is to create fits the in this object is the master details relationship. We can create the master details relationship in the this case. No, directly we cannot create the master details relationship in the custom object contain the exiting the records. Following the we are the step to the create and to create a master details relationship when record are the available in the custom object. First, create the fields with the lookup relationship and associate lookup fields with parents record for the every records. Next, change the data type of the fields from the look and the master details. Next questions. List example of the custom fields types. Types pick list, multi select date and time, emails, date and currency, checkbox, numbers, parents, percentage, phones, URL and text area. And look up the relationship master relationship. Next questions. What is the role and a role hierarchy? Salesforce used to hierarchy to the automatically to grant access to the users by the default. We cannot edit grant access using the hierarchy for the standard object and can be edited to grant access using the hierarchy checkbox for the standard object. Next question, what is the tab in Salesforce? Tab in the user interface compounds to user the creator to display custom object data. There are the three types of the two of tabs: custom tabs, user post tabs, and web tabs. But does user can create insert their one of the custom logo. They are we creating the one custom applications. Yes, user can be upload their the custom logo in the document and then they choose the that is logo and organization. Next question: what is a wrapper class? Wrapper class in the class was insert and the collection of the other object is it is used to display different object and user to first page in the some tables. Next questions: list things that is can be the customize on the page layout. We can other customize different the things on the page and layout the likes, feeds, alert, buttons, custom link, and the related list. We can also create the sections. Next questions: what are the main things need to the consider in the master details relationship? Record level the access to determined by parents and mandatory on the chats, reference of parents. A case and delete to if you are the delete and parents, it can delete to the chats. Next question: what are the difference between the triggers and workflow? Workflow is a automated process that is fire and action based evaluations criteria and the rules criteria. We can the access to workflow, access the object. We can the perform the DML operation and workflow. We can not query from the database. Triggers is a piece of the code that is executed before and after records insert updated. And we can access to the triggers across the object and related to that object. We can have the 20 DML operation in the on triggers. We can also use 20 SQL from database in the triggers. Next question is what is the difference between the SQL and SQL? SQL Salesforce object query language. Using the SQL, we can have the search only one of the object in the at a time. We can the query on all the fields of the any data types. We can use SQL in the triggers and the classes. We can also perform the DML operation and the query result. Next question, SQL, Salesforce Object Search Language. Using this SQL, we can also search on many objects at a time. We can query only the fields whose the data apex types is a text, phone, and image. We can use to the classes, but not the triggers. We can also perform the DML operation on the search result. Next questions. What is the different insert and database insert? Using the insert and methods, we can on the insert two records, but if any of the errors occur in the any record system, will be the throw and errors intestine in field and none of the records are the inserted. If we want to execute and access all of the bulk insert and operation, we will use database insert. Next question, what is a self relationship? Self relationship is nothing but creating a relationship between the two same object. This is a self relationship is the look of the relationship to the same object. Next question, what is a static resource? Using the static resource, we can upload image, zip files, jar files in JavaScript and CSS files that can be the refers in the Salesforce page. The maximum size to static resource for the organization is a 25 MB. Next question, how to call JavaScript script and using the static resource in the Salesforce page and the JavaScript file in the static resource does setup, develop, static the resource. Click on the new name, file name and the add file from the local desktop and the save. We can use to that is file is a follow in the Salesforce page. Apex included script value resource file names. Next question, what is the sharing rules? If we want to give the access to the other users, we use to sharing rules. Next question, how many ways to we can share the records? Roles hierarchy. If we add to user to the role, the users is above in the role hierarchy will be how reads access. Set up manage users roles, set up the roles, click on the add roles and private name and the save. OWD define the baseline, the setting for the organization. Define the level of access to the users can see the other users records. OWD can be the private, public reads only, public reads and writes. Set up security control and sharing settings. Click on the edit. Next, manual sharings. Manual sharings is a sharing single records to the single users of group the users. We can also see the button and details page of the records, and this is visible only when the OWD setting is private. And next criteria episode sharing rules. If we want to the share records based on the condition, the like the share records to the group of the users whose criteria are the country in the India. Set up security control sharing setting and select the object for the name and connection and the above. Next, Apex sharings. Share object in the available for the every object for accounts. Object share object is the account shares. If you want to the shares the records using the Apex, we have to the create records to the share the object. Next questions. What are the action in the workflow? Emails are the task, feeds, update, outbound message. Next question, how many the way to can the feeds is the requirement? Will creation of the feeds, validation rules, page layout, level. And what is the difference between the role and profiles? Role is a records level access and is not all mandatory to the all users. Profile is a object level and fields level access and it the mandatory to the for all the users. Next questions: what is the maximum size of the PDF generated on the Visual Force attribute render is 15 MB. Next question, how many controller can be used to the Visual Force page? Salesforce can, some user the SAS, so we can use two a controller and the many excitation controllers. Next question, what is the difference between the action support and the action the functions? Uh, Action the function, the controller methods from the JavaScript and using the Ajax and the we can use to use action the function from the different place on the Visual Force page. Next question, action support the controller methods using the Ajax when even the across page like the mouse over the on click it is a we can use to actions support and particular single apex components. How many way we can call the apex class? Visual Force page, web service, triggers, image service. Next question, how to create and master details relationship between the exiting and records. Directly, we cannot create and master details relationship between the exiting records. First, we have to create and look up the relationship and and provide the valid lookup feeds and the should not nulls. Next question, what is the permission set? Permission set is the extend user and function access without the changing the users and profiles. As a user has a only reads access to thought profile on the custom object and annotations want to the give access edit and create the operations in him without the changing the profiles and annotation create and the permission set having the edit and create the operation on the custom object and the assign to the that users. What is the manual sharings? Manual sharings is to the share the record of the particular user and manually go to the details page of the records and click on the manual sharings button and assign the records to the other users read write access. Manual sharings buttons enables only when the OWD is a private that is an object. How can we can change the grant access to using the roles and hierarchy for the standard object? Not possible. What is the use to of the transfer records in the profiles? If user have only reads access in a particular records, but is how to he want to the change owner name of the that is the records that then he in the profiles level the transfer the records enables to the can be to change in the owners. Next question, we have to time based the workflow and there are action the schedule be the executed if we deactivated and workflow schedules action will be the remove from the queue or not. Action will be the perform even if we are the deactivated the workflow. Next questions. Next question, what is the field dependency? According of the field selection of the fields, filter the pick list value on one of the fields. Next question, checkbox perform like the controlling the fields. Yes, possibly the controlling fields should be a checkbox and pick list. Next question, how many fields and dependency we can use to in Visual Force page? Maximum we can use to 10 fields dependence in the Visual Force page. Next question, what is a roll-up summary? Roll-up display the count of the child's record and calculate the sum, mean, and the maximum of the fields of the child's records. Next question, how to create the roll-up summary fields? Look up the relations. Not possible roll-up summary. It is enables for of the master details relationship. Next question, what are the records type? Records type of the are restrict the pick list of the value and assigning the difference page layout for the difference records types. Next question, what is the audit in the trail? Audit in trail and provide the information or the track all of the recent set of the change, and that is administration done of the organization. This is store the cost of the 60 months data. Next questions. What are the records type? Four types of the records in Salesforce. Tabular reports, we can know the only the display the grand total in the tables from the summary reports. It is a details from the reports which in which the grouping and done based on the columns. Matrix reports, it is a details from the reports in which of the grouping done of the based on the both row and the columns. Join the reports, we can also join the two major reports in the single reports display in the form of block. What is the dashboards? Dashboard is a pictorial representation of the reports. We can also add to the 20 reports in the single dashboards. We can also default the timeout of the period with the calling the web service from the Apex 10 seconds. How to delete and time based the workflow if there is the already an action the schedules. We can also delete the time based the workflow if finding the action in the quiz. Next question, how to update in records using the after triggers context? Not possible. You will be get the errors like record is ready on only. What is the difference between the export and the export all of the data in the loader in the Salesforce? Next question. Export is export export is a export all of the data from the salesforce.coms excluding the recycle the bin data. Export all of the data from the Salesforce including the recycle bins data. What is the use of the all row in SQL? All row is used for the retrieving the records from the recycle bin. Select idea from the campaign. All of the row. All row is not the work in the developer console. Next questions. What is the role? What is the use of for the update in SQL for updating SQL to log of the records? Campaign can select item from campaign the limit one from the update. What is the use of the save point in the Apex? This is will be used to for the rollback of the campaign roll of the or how to call Apex class using the JavaScript. Checks the value code Apex code global the class names web service static the string methods name string the com name campaign com name the campaign names and names return names and dot JavaScript were campaign first dot object and campaigns string the first Apex execute class name methods name and ABC and how to the run triggers in the if you are the used to in future adoptions annotations triggers the run. Next question, we are the not provide the some fields in the CSV files, which of the required page is layout and records what are the happen if you are trying to insert the records into the Salesforce data loaders. All records are the installed in the Salesforce successfully. We are not the provide the sum of the fields CSV files which are the required in the fields level. What happen if we are the try to insert records into this Salesforce thought data loaders? Expert those recording remaining records will be the insert in the into the Salesforce. Next questions: what is a Visual Force controller in Salesforce? What are the Visual Force controller to the set and interactions that is specific that is happen of when you the user interaction with the compounds and on Visual Force page, which of the buttons link, and there are the three types of the controllers type of the standard controllers, custom controllers, extensions. Next question, what is the standard controllers? Standard controllers provide the Salesforce inbuilt functionality in the interact Salesforce page. You can use top standard action like the save, edit, and cancel did by using the standard controllers. Sandbox, Apex, and Page standard controllers accounts. What is the standard list controllers? Standard list controllers allow you to display the list of the records, visual force page, and standard list controllers provide the additional the positions and actions first, last, and next provides the compiles compile to the standard controllers. Can we standard controllers and controllers attribute at a time? No, we cannot reference both of the attribute at a times. Set below the centers to the under the stand. Apex page and standard controllers name and extensions class 1, class 2. And the next questions. What are the tasks of standard controllers? Standard controllers provide the ability to access and interact with structured data contained in the records display in the proper user interface. Standard controllers task controlling data, controlling the action, and the controlling the navigations. Next question: what is Apex page tag in the Visual Force page? Visual Force Outlook. This tag is represent in the single Visual Force page. Every page must have start the end with of the tags. Apex page, body of the page, and Apex page. Next question: how can we enable the Visual Force editors? We need to the check of the development made of the check of the users level enables the Visual Force editors. To enable this is go to the user details page, check the development made checkbox. Next question: expand the CRM brief. Explain about the CRM. Full form for the CRM, the acronym from CRM, customer relationship management. We can understand from the full from the where the CRM is a application used to automated sales and marketing the function by the using the software. All CRM software, by using the CRM software, every company organization the plans and increase their the renew and the profile. This is strategy increasing the renew done mainly and attracting customer client sales. Next question: list some of the CRM software. We have the number of the CRM software, the which of the provider by to the CRM companies. Some of the are listed below the depending upon the please present market. Market CRM, Microsoft Dynamics CRM, Oracle CRM, SAP CRM, Sales CRM, and NetSuite CRM. Oracle CRM and demand, Oracle Sales Cloud CRM, and Sugar CRM. Next question: what are the advantage of the cloud computing? Cloud computing has more from nodes, growth in the processing powers, reliability of the internet, and the great increase the board bond speed. It's make the treat more sense to the make use to of the containerized server of the provider of the computing server as not the only does it reduce the cost by the great extent by the making the reduce the need to the buy server software the license of the also the implement and hack the customer requirement organization the maintain of the upgrade existing softwares. Read more on the cloud computing activation cloud the computing advantage. Next question: what is the definitions of the CRM? Cloud computing, the definition give the NIST use the National Institute Standard on the Technology. Cloud computing is a model of the inability when one of the demand network access to the sharing proof of the configurables in computing the resource that can be the clarity, horizons, and the rise with minimal management offer of the service for the interactions. Next question: what are the deployment mode of the cloud computing? Cloud computing server can be the provide the in for the different deployment mode depending on the size and structure of the organization. For the deployment made of the cloud computing are public clouds, private clouds, hybrid cloud, community clouds. What is a public clouds? Public clouds can be available to people across the world. In this public cloud, the user has no control over the resource. Next question is: what is the private clouds? Private clouds can be the access only with of the limited promise in the private clouds. Clouds of service provide the cloud infrastructures to particular organization business specifically. This infrastructures is not the provider to others. Next question: what is the hybrid clouds? Hybrid clouds is the combination of the number of clouds of any types of bird. Cloud has the ability to allow to data and the application to be the move from one the application on other clouds. Hybrid clouds, a combination of the public clouds, private clouds, community clouds. Here API are used to an interface between the public and the private clouds. Next questions. What are the different types of the cloud service provider? Cloud service provider are those who provide the cloud service to the business and customer business service provider will be how to handle database data center infrastructures software platform and the hardware systems. Different between the public and the private clouds. Public clouds can be the available the two people to the world in the these people. Cloud the users has no central over the resource, where private clouds can be the access only within the limitations promise in the private clouds. Cloud the service for the cloud infrastructure to particular organization in the business. Basically, this is a cloud infrastructure is not the private the to others. In Salesforce.com is a based of the which cloud the computing the service. Salesforce.com is a based on the software as a service has. What are the common factors as and SaaS and PaaS and SaaS? Uh, SaaS, PaaS, and S are the three types of the service provider using the cloud. They are the common factor for the providing the service organization and the customer is the cloud depending upon the types of the service they needs. SaaS provided the software service as a cloud with where the PaaS provided the platform of the applications development and finally SaaS as per the infrastructures. Next question: what is the Salesforce? Salesforce is one of the best customer relationship management CRM tools. Salesforce is among one of the best based the flexible and powerful database available in the market. Next question: different Salesforce editions. Salesforce.com provide different type of the edition and the features depending upon of the clouds. For sales clouds, it is a provider for different type of the editions. They are group, professional, enterprise, unlimited. And number of the Salesforce editions released per years. Salesforce result in the update for every years. They are the spring, summer, winters. Next questions: different between the Salesforce.coms and Force.coms. Salesforce.coms, Force.coms are the relative and some, but they are different in the other functionality. Salesforce.com is used to develop CRM functionality based on the application where.com is used to customize over the data model and business logic and the user interface. Next question: what is the database platforms? Database platform is a type of the service provided by the Salesforce.com is enhance to power of the Salesforce.com CRM application. Database.com provide the data as a service to subscribe. How two type of the portal are the available in this Salesforce? Salesforce.com we have three types of the portal. They are customer portals, partners portals, and self-service portals. And next question: what is the app in the Salesforce? App means of the application in the Salesforce application that consist of the group and tab which are the designing to the work of the single function. We have a number of application in the Salesforce.com. Some of them sales, marketing, charters, site.coms, and work.coms. We can create new applications and also the automation for the existing app is the Salesforce.com. To create new the app in Salesforce, go to the setup words, create an app. Different type of the object in the Salesforce.coms and why they call so Salesforce.coms we have to the type of the object: standard object, custom object. Standard object standard object are the core, so the because they are the created and provided by the Salesforce.coms. Custom object are the those which are the created by the users in the Salesforce.coms. Next questions: what is the object in the Salesforce? Object in the represented as a database tables which store the organization data. Object consists of set of the fields, and we store the data agent that is fed to the view data. Salesforce provide the tabs. To create the custom fields, go to the setup fields, create an object. Next question, what is the tab in the Salesforce? Salesforce.com provide the list of the tabs and the place to the tab menu to the access data for data of the object. Tabs are the user tab in the Salesforce. Are three types of their custom tabs, user force tabs and web tabs. Next question, list example of the custom fields types. Some of the custom fields types are data fields, date and time fields, currency fields, checkbox fields, number fields, uh, text fields, pick list fields, and image fields and parents, present fields, and phone fields, URL fields, and any more. Next question, what are the standard and custom fields in the Salesforce? Standard fields for the custom object in the store in information about the created by the modifying by currency name and owner the and division. They are the standard fields in Salesforce.com's. Custom fields for the custom object store the unique data and information of the organization. How to many custom fields can I create to the in object? Unlimited edition, we can create two object 500 fields per object. Professional edition, we cannot create up to the 100 custom fields per object. Next questions, what is the profiles? Profile are those which of the defining user to the to perform the different function and like setting and permission in Salesforce. It is another way to the stick and the control access to the particular records. Profile are to the types, standard profiles, custom profiles. Standard profiles, created by the first.coms are the poll and standard profiles. Custom profiles created by the users are the poll custom profiles. Next questions. What is the roles? Roles hierarchy setting made of the managers and the subordinate to edit and the view and the records. The users in the hierarchy can be able to the view and edit and reports all of the data shares. To create roles and Salesforce, go to the setup, invitation, manage users and roles. Difference between the roles and profiles. Using we can provide the records level the access to like the organization like by default roles, hierarchy, sharing roles, and the menu sharing simply roles and influence records level the access. Profiles using the profiles object level and the fields level access can be the made like the general permission, tab the level permission, and read write permission. Next question, number of the standard profiles available in the Salesforce.com. Salesforce, we have six standard profiles in they are standard users, Salesforce managers, marketing users, read only, system administrations. Next questions, how can use to term of the transfer record in profiles? Transfer record is a type of the permission Salesforce is used to given the access and transfer the records in is the will be how to ability and transfer the records. We have records which have the reads access. Next questions. How to get security token in the Salesforce.com? To get the security token in the Salesforce.com, so go to your name, personal reset my the security tokens. Next question, what is the fiscal year the Salesforce? Fiscal year in the Salesforce.com are used to defining starting and ending date of and organization financial years. Fiscal years in the Salesforce are to the two type of they are standard fiscal years. To change the starting month of the fiscal year, this is a type of the use. And custom fiscal years, we cannot set the custom fields. Custom fiscal all the years date like the quarter and week. Next questions, what is the department pick list? Department pick list allowed to contain the multiple value of the pick list value of the amount with the multiple value among the dependent fields depend upon the controlling fields. Next question, what are the page layout and the records type? Page layout, in the page layout that customizations can be done by fields related list custom link and can be arranged. Records type of the Salesforce tab in this implementation business process like defining the pick list value for the standard custom pick list. Next question, how to delete users from the Salesforce. In the Salesforce.com is a deleting user and not the possible, but is the user can be the deactivated by the phrasing that user the Salesforce deactivation user go to the setup invitation manage user to setup and phrase. Next question, how to the phrase user and Salesforce.com. Salesforce.com is a deleting user and not the possible, but is a user can be the deactivated by the phrasing that user in the Salesforce to activations deactivation wait and user go to the setup invitation manage users and user the click all the phrase. Next questions, how to many way to can we can store the files, image and documents in the Salesforce.com. What are they? Salesforce.com is we can store files, image and the document in the file types of they are attachment, document, Google Drive, libraries, charter files. Next questions. What are the static resource? Static resource help to the store, update image, feeds, zip files, documentations, raw scripts, files, CSS files, which can be used to the in Visual Force page, maximum data storage limit in the for static the resource and the 255 MB. Next question, list some standard index fields, Salesforce.coms. ID name, owner fields, lookup fields, master data, relationship fields, audit fields like the last modified date. It it are the standard indexed field in the Salesforce.coms. Next question, which fields are the indexed by the default in the Salesforce? Salesforce index some fields by the default are the ID name, owner fields, lookup fields, master details, relationship fields, audit date like last modified dates. Next question, which fields cannot be added to the custom index for fields? Next question, Salesforce can to users can to have some profiles. Yes, it is possible to edit and formula fields value of the records. No. What is the sharing rules? Sharing rules are the Salesforce represent of the permission and the expectation to the user organization. By using the sharing rules, we can grant access to edit and records, read, write permission to the users. Sharing rules are the true right. There are manual sharings, automatic sharings. Next question, what are the manual sharings? Manual sharings is the process of the sharing records manually. Next question, what is the permission set? Permission set in the Salesforce.com are the combination of the different setting and the permission set given to users to the access record and the files. I note manual sharing is available for the only organization wide default setting are the prior to the object. Next question, difference between the process and the permission set. Now permission set in this permission set to the we define the access level of the users. Generally, we have determined what are the used to can do within the application. These are the used to grant additional permission to users. Provides in the object level security file are the assigned to the users by the system. Annotations files can be the assigned to the many users, where as a users can be have only one profiles. Next question, how can you define the field dependency? Field dependency we have to the fields, controlling fields and dependent fields. When a selection is made, the controlling fields control the dependent fields picklist value. When a country is selected is a dependent picklist, then the start state are available to that state to that country. Here country is the controlling fields and the state in the dependent fields. Next question, how many fields dependency we can use to Visual Force page? We can use to up to the 10 fields and dependency in the Visual Force page. Next question, tell me about the fields level security. Fields level security we can control the user to what see edit or delete of particular fields in the object. Next question, brief file describe the object about describe the about fields level security. Field level security we control the users what to see edit delete of particular fields in the object in some the situation, like if we want to the grant access control over the object to the users, but the users too should be not be able to access some particular fields in that is object, then we go for the fields level security. Field level security can be the controller by the profile and the permission set. Profile, page layout, IP range, login hours, desktop client access. Permission set, app permission, record types, tab setting, assign app, object permission, fields level security, Apex classes, Salesforce page, IP range are used to the restrict any logic, any login attempt done of the from the unknown IP address. Usually organization the maintain logic IP range. To set up the login IP range in the Salesforce, go to the setup invitation, set up the manage users and profiles. Next question, what is the user records? User records are concerned by the information about the users. Next question, what is the records owner? Records owner, this is the user of the query who control have to the right to the access or records. Or generally, there are two type of the owners. There are users and query. Next questions, what are the organization wide default? Organization wide default defining that is a baseline level of the access to the data records for all of users to in the organization. Organization wide default are used to restrict access to data and records. Organization wide default OWP can be defined on for the define for standard object and the custom object. Next questions. What is the access to the role levels? Access at the role level depend and upon the organization wide default. Next question. What are the different type of the sharing rules and custom Salesforce and explain the name? Account sharing rules, contact sharing rules, case sharing rules, opportunity sharing rules, lead sharing rules, custom object sharing rules. Next question. How to navigate to the share records? Records can be the share in the file. There are hierarchy organization by default. Manual sharing, category sharing rules, Apex sharings, best practice of the creating contact sharing rules. Organization wide default the setting are the user to the set read, write, and read, write permission. Next question, what are the governor limit? Governor limit is the Salesforce.com are the run type limit and enforced by the Apex runtime the engine to the right executable and the epicenter code. Next question, what is the possible two type of the grant logic the access using the hierarchies in the case of the standard object? No. Yes. And next question, can we us sharing rules to the restrict data process? No. Sharing rules the cannot the restrict data access. Next question, it is possible to the create sharing rules for the details object? No. No, we can create sharing rules for the details object and because they don't have a owner fields. Next questions. How can you change the setting grant access using the hierarchies for the standard object? It is not possible to by default grant access to using the hierarchy option or the enables for the standard object and they cannot be changed for the custom object. We can also change the grant access to using the hierarchy settings. Next questions. What are the monetary point that you think will the creating user and roles? It is a profile. Next questions, field setting the OWT organization wide sharings. We can the change, modify the setting of chats records in the case of the master details relationship. No, we cannot the change is the setting of the chats record in the master details relationship between the chats record is the controller by the parents records. Next questions, uh, number of the access and available the organization wide default and what are they? What are they? We have the 13 types of the access organization. The default setting they are private controller by parents, public read only, public read write, public read write transfer, public full access, use and no access. View only, hide details, hide details and event, show details and event. Next questions, partners community, external user and is having the appreciate OWT and profile setting in the profile setting for the opacity and consider any other the object how they are getting the insophonist privilege access. What might be the case of the errors? First check that is every fields used to in report has a fields level security for the external users. Checks check whether the standard of reports visibility setting are the enabled. If is the enables, users can be the able to see a report will be which are the based on the standard reports and types. Now, external users can be able to access and sensitive information of the internal users. Next question, what are the different type of the relationship in the Salesforce? What are they? There are four types of the relationship in the Salesforce.com. They are master data relationship, lookup relationship, many relationship, and hierarchy relationship. We cannot use to the relationship. Next questions, what is the lookup relationship? No parents in the requirement relationship, the optionals, no impact in security. Roll-up summary fields cannot be available. Lookup relationship cannot be created to the on object. Next question, what is the master details relationship? We create the master details relationship using the junction object in the Salesforce. Child records must have a associated parents case at records level security case at the records deletions roll up summary feeds cannot be established. Standard object cannot be the details object. Standard object cannot be master object. Maximum two master details relationship cannot be created to an object records and cannot be parents. Next questions. What is the roll-up summary? Roll-up summary fields in the Salesforce calculate value from the set of the related records. Next questions. Define the virus charters of the roll-up summary fields. Roll-up summary fields can be the created only in the object which in the refers as a one of the object with a master details relationship fields. Roll-up summary fields can only created for master details relationship. Roll-up summary fields cannot be the created. Look up the relationship. It is a drives the data from the child's object. We cannot the change fields type of the fields that is a V reference in the of summary fields. Auto numbers are not available here. Roll-up summary fields can are not available for the mapping and field leads from the convert fields. Next question, list of the out of the function of the roll-up summary fields count. It calculated the total number of the related records. Sum, it is the total value of the selected fields. And minute display lowest value. Maximum display the highest value. Next question, what is the many-to-many relationship in the Salesforce? Many-to-many relationship between the two object can be the created junction object is used to the create many-to-many relationship. Junction object cannot be equal as a joint object. Junction object links each object is many-to-many relationship. Next questions, can we have to roll up summary fields in use case parents chats relationship? No, it is a possible to edit roll up summary fields value of the records. No, roll up summary fields are the read only fields are the they cannot be edited. Next question, it is a possible to create roll up summary fields parents object. Yes, we can create roll up summary fields on parents object only with master details relationship between the object. Next questions, what is the junction object? Junction object is that is a part of the object which joined are object in the another. They are not though specifically used to join many object in many to many relationship. Next question, what are the main things need to consider in the master details relationship? In case that the delete of the child's records is done when the parents record in the deleted in master details relationship. Next question, can we convert the lookup relationship to master details relationship? If so, how can we convert? Yes, we can convert the lookup relationship to the master detail relationship. Conversion can be done of only the fields, how to validate lookup fields and value the only. Next question can we create the master details relationship on exiting the records? Yes, it is a possible to the create master detail relationship in exiting records. First, we have to the create lookup the relationship to the records, then convert it to the master details relationship. Next question, how to create the many-to-many relationship between the two object. Many-to-many relationship can be created by using the junction object. Next question is, in case of the master data relationship, on update on update of master data records can be updated the fields of the child's records using the workflow rules. No. Next question, in case of the master data relationship, on update of the child's record can we update the fields of the parents records using the workflow rules? Yes, we can update the fields parents records using the workflow rules. Next question, what are happened the details records when the user master records is deleted? When master records is deleted, it is the details records are the also the deleted. Next, what happening to child's records when a master records is deleted in the lookup relationship? Child's records are not deleted. Custom object contains some records. Now my requirement is to the create fields in the object with master data relationship. Now we cannot create the master data relationship. First, create lookup the relationship and associate lookup the fields for the every parents records and then convert this is a parents details relationship. Can we create the both master details relationship and lookup relationship and at a times? Yes, we cannot create. Next, what are the different kinds of the reports? There are the three types of the reports in the Salesforce can be, they are tabular reports, summary reports, matrix reports. Next question, what are the standard reports? Standard reports in the Salesforce are those provided by salesforce.com. They are the type of this type of the reports cannot be the deleted and the used primary for the creating custom records, custom reports. Next question, what are custom reports? Custom reports in this Salesforce are those created by user the specific criteria. This is type of the reports can be deleted, edited, and stored in personal folders. Next question, what is the tabular reports? Tabular reports in the Salesforce are those where the data displayed in the from the list. Tabular reports custom data and arrange the without subtotals. Next question, what is the summary reports? Summary reports in the Salesforce, those where of the data and display in the from the summary format shorting the sum totals of data can be the available in these reports. Next question, what is the matrix reports? Matrix reports in the Salesforce are those where the data is arranged in the grid format having two row and columns. Data and date is arranged and vertically and horizontally in the tables like the Excel format. Next question, what is the trend reports? Trend reports in the Salesforce are those which display historical data. Trend report are the used to the analyze which fields contain data that we want to the leave out. Next question, what are the custom report types? Custom report types in the Salesforce allow you to build framework in the reports wizard when the creating custom report. This is a custom report can be created between the standard and the custom object. Next questions, who can run reports? Salesforce.com must reports run automatically when we click on of the reports name. If we want to the run reports, click on the run reports to run automatically. Next question, what is the bucket fields in the reports? Salesforce reports bucket fields are used to the categories report and records. When we use to bucket fields in the reports, there is a no needs of the creating and the formula or custom fields. Next questions, it is a possible to the delete reports using the data loaders? No, it is not the possible to the delete reports using the data loaders. And next question, what is the dashboards? Salesforce dashboards are the graphical representation and the visual presentation of the records data as Salesforce. Next question, what are the different dashboards components? Salesforce dashboards components are used to the represent data. Salesforce dashboards have to some visual representation components like the graphs, charts, and tables, matrix, and the visual force page. We cannot use to the up to 20 compounds in the single dashboards. Next question, what are the dynamic dashboards? Dynamic dashboard in the Salesforce display set of the matrix that we want to the across all of the level of your the organization. The enterprise edition can be used to 5 dynamic dashboards, and unlimited edition can use 10 the dashboards. Next question, can we the schedules dynamic dashboards? No, we cannot schedule dynamic dashboards for the refresh. It is a must to be done manually. Next question, explain dynamic dashboards. Dynamic dashboard in the Salesforce display set of the matrix that is we want across all of the level of your organization. The dynamic dashboards in the Salesforce are those created the provide the security setting of the dashboards in the Salesforce Salesforce.com. We may have to requirement in the organization to the view all data by every users in the on and organizing the record according to their the access to have to select and login users. There are two setting option in the dashboards. They are run as a specified user, run as a login users. Next questions, who can access drag and drop dashboards? Users who have permission in the manage dashboards can access drag and drop dashboards. Next questions, which type of the reports can be the use and for the dashboards components? Summary reports and metric reports are used to the dashboards components. Next question, which permission is required to the set the running user and user other than you than you in dashboards? The user must have a view all data. Permission is required to the set the running users. Next question, what is the users of floating reports headers? Floating reports headers enables to the display the columns header visible each of which page uh, visible on each page which when we scroll the reports page. Next questions, how to enable floating the reports headers? To enable floating reports header, the is Salesforce go to the setup, customize report and dashboards user the interface setting the click enables floating the reports and headers. Next questions, what is the analytical snapshot is a Salesforce? Analytical snapshot is in Salesforce are used to create reports on the historical data. Next question, what is the workflow? Salesforce workflow is a business logic that is evaluate, that is the records on of the day are created, updated in the object to the apply automated the process like the assigning task, emails, feeds, update, and outbound message sending. Next question, different workflow components are available in the Salesforce. In Salesforce.com's workflow consists of the 5 components. They are workflow rules, workflow task, workflow emails alert, workflow feeds, update, workflow outbound message. Next question, what are the different workflow action available in the Salesforce? Emails alert, feeds update, outbound message. Next question, what is the workflow task? Workflow task is the Salesforce are used to the assign or task users. Using the task become the specific the subject, status, priority, and the due date of the task. Tasks are the workflow in the approval the action, that is we are the triggers by workflow rules or the approval the process. Next questions, what is the workflow alert? Emails alert is one of the action use in the workflow and the approval. They are the used to generate emails and template by the workflow rules, approval process, and the send of the designations. Receipt we can send workflow emails alert to the users contact having one of the valid email address. Next questions, Next question, what is the workflow feeds update? Feeds update in a workflow in approval the process specific the fields that is we want to update it and this inserting the new value of the depending upon the fields type of the we can the choose the following the options. They are applied to the specific value make of the value bank calculated value based on the formula we can create. Next question, what is the types of the dependent workflow? Times dependent workflow are the next execute dependently times of the dependent workflow remain constant in the workflow quick as long as the workflow rules criteria is valid. Next question, time dependent workflow considerations. When depending time of the dependent workflow is a Salesforce we have to use to standard and custom date and time fields and defined for the object. We have to specify time of the using a day or also add to the addition actions to the exiting time of the triggers. Next question, which criteria of the workflow times independent workflow actions cannot be created? Create the and every times in the edited when you use to cannot be add times dependent action in the workflow rules. Time dependent action is the workflow rules and cannot be added and when the following action task place. When the workflow rules in the active, when the workflow rules in deactivated and the pending the action is unique. When the workflow rules and criteria of the record set of the created by every times it is edited when the workflow rules included by package. Limitation. Next question, limitation of the time dependent workflow. When defining time dependent workflow is a Salesforce, we have to use standard and custom date and time fields and defined for the object. We have to the specific time of using the date and the hours, and also the action of the existing time triggers. Next question, how to many custom fields and I can create it in object. Unlimited editions we can the created and 500 fields per object. In the professional edition we can the create up 100 custom fields per object. Next question, what is the profiles? Profiles are those which of the defined user the perform the different function like the setting and permissions is the Salesforce. It is a on the way to restrict or control the access to particular records. Profiles are two types: standard profiles, custom profiles. Standard profiles created by the host.com are the called the standard profiles. Custom profiles provided created by users are the called from the custom profiles. Profile created by users are called custom profiles. Next question, what is the roles? Roles hierarchy setting make up the manage and subordinate to edit and view to records. The users in the hierarchy can be the able to the view and edit and report all of the data shares to create the roles and users also go to the setup administration manage users role. Next question, difference between the role and profiles. Using the we have provide the records level the access like the organization by default role the hierarchy sharing roles and manual sharing simply roles influence records level the access and profiles using the profile the object level the and fields levels access cannot be made like the general permission to tab level the permission read write function. Next question, number of the standard profiles available in the Salesforce. Salesforce we have to 6 standard profiles. They are standard users, solution manager, marketing users, roles, read only, system administrations. Next question, how to can use to from transfer records in the Salesforce. Transfer record is a type of the permission Salesforce. If user is given access to the transfer of the records, then the users will be have to ability to the transfer the records will have to read access. Next question, tell me about your company. Tell me about company profiles. Salesforce.com company profiles as consist of the of information about the language, local time zone, number of the license, storage, available space, about the fees or the address and the currencies. Next questions, what is the next question, how to get the security token in salesforce.com. To get the security token in the salesforce.com, go to the your name and personal reset my the security tokens. Next question, what is the visual the in Salesforce? Visual the Salesforce are used to defining starting and endings. Date of the organization, the visual years in the Salesforce are two type of they are standard visual years to change the starting month of the visual year. This is type is used. Custom visual years, we can set custom visual year the date like the quarters, weeks. Next question, what is a dependent pick list? Dependent pick list allow you to the contain multiple value of the pick list and among the multiple value among them the dependent fields and records dependent upon the controlling fields. Read more about the Salesforce pick list, dependent pick list. Next question, what is a page layout and a records type? Page layout. In page layout, the customization can be done like the feeds, related list, custom link, and can be arranged. Records type. Records type in Salesforce help to implement sales business process like the defining the pick list value of the standard the custom pick list. Next question, how to delete users from the salesforce.com. Deleting the users not possible, but they are not cannot be deactivated by the phrasing that is user Salesforce to deactivation user go to setup implementation manage to user to click on phrase. Next questions, how to phrase user in salesforce.com. Salesforce.com is a deleting users not the possible, but that is user can be the deactivation by use by phrasing that is user and Salesforce. To deactivation user the setup go to setup and mutations manage users and user the click zone. Next question, how many way to the we store the files image and document in the salesforce.com? What are they? In salesforce.com we cannot store files image and documentation in 5 times they are attachment, document, Google Drive, libraries, charter files. Next question, what are the static resource? Static resource help to the store, upload image files, zip files, document, the script files, CSS files, which can be the Visual Force page maximum data store limit for the static resource in the 225. List some of the standard index fields in the standard.coms. ID, name, owner fields, look up the relationship, look up the fields, master the relationship fields, or audit date, date like last modified date are the standard index fields salesforce.com. Next question, which fields are the indexed by the default in Salesforce? Salesforce index some fields by the default. They are the ID, name, and another fields. Look up the fields and master detail the relationship fields and audit date like the last modified date. Next question, what is the sharing rule? Sharing rules in the Salesforce represent to the permission and the expectation to your the organization. By using sharing rules, we cannot the grant access to the edit, read write permission to users, and sharing rules are two type. They are the manual sharings, automatic sharings. Next question, what is the permission set? Permission set is a salesforce.com are the combination of the different setting and the permission set given the users to access records and the files. Manual sharing is the available for the only organization the build by default setting are the private to the object. Next questions, different between the profiles and the permission set. Permission set, it is a permission set and we define the access level of users. Generally, we determine what our users can be do within application. This is are used to grant additional permission to users. Profiles, object level security profiles assigned to the users and by the system administration profile can be assigned to many users where the as users can be have to only one profile. Next question, how can you define fields dependency? Field dependency, we can have to define and controlling fields and depending fields. When a selection is made, the controlling fields fields control and depending the pick list value. when a country is selected of the dependent list, then the state are the available. That is a country. Here the country is a controlling fields and the state in the dependent fields. Next question, tell me about the field level security. In the field level security, we have users that see edit delete of the pictorial fields in the object. Next question, now briefly describe the object in field level security. Field level security, we control the users what to see edit the delete and particular fields, that is object. Some situation like if you have want to the grant access control over the object to the other users, but that is user should be not able access some particular fields fields in the that is object. Then we go to the fields level security. Fields level security can be the controlling the by profile and permission set, profiles, page layout, IP range, login hours, desktop, client access, permission set, app permission, records type, tab setting, assignment, app page permission, page field security, apex classes, visual force classes. Next question, what are the logging hours and login IP address? Logging hours and set of the organization restrict the users who tried the logging before and after login hours. To set the login hours and organization, go to the setup invitation manager user the profiles. IP range are the used to the restrict any login attempt to the done of the unknown IP address. Usually organization will maintain the login IP address range. To set the login IP range in the Salesforce, go to the setup invitation, set up the manage user and profiles. Next question, what is the records on owner? Records owner the users and quick who records and how to write the access to the records. Generally, there are two type of the owner and type user and quick. Next questions, what are the organization by default? Organization the by default define the baseline level of access of data records for of the users and organization. Organization by default are used to the restrict access to data records. Organization the by default OWD can be the defined for the standard object and custom object. Next question, what is the role and role hierarchy? Salesforce used to role hierarchy to automatically to grant access to users by default. We cannot be edit and grant access using the hierarchy for the standard object, and can be edit the grant access using the hierarchy checkbox and for standard object. Next questions, what is the access at a role levels? Access to the role level defined upon the organization by default. Next question, what are the different type of the sharing rules Salesforce and explain them? Account sharing rules, contact sharing rules, case sharing rules, opportunity sharing rules, lead sharing rules, custom object sharing rules. Next questions, how many way can be share the records? The records can be the share in the five types of the types are there: role hierarchy, organization wide default, manual sharing, scatter, based sharing rules and apex sharing. थैंक यू फ्रेंड्स, ये जो क्वेश्चन है आपको इंटरव्यू में फायदा हो सकता है। मैं आशा करता हूँ कि आपको इंटरव्यू के लिए ये बेनिफिट होंगे। तो मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीडियो में। अगर मेरा यूट्यूब चैनल आपको पसंद आता है तो मेरे चैनल को लाइक और सब्सक्राइब कीजिए। और थैंक यू सो मच, बाय।